John Deere has been a leading innovator in farming machinery and new technology for more than 180 years. Joining us today is Luke Chandler, Managing Director of John Deere, and Emma Ford, Director of Aftermarket and Customer Support. Luke has over 25 years leadership experience in global agribusiness, and he's a recognised expert in agricultural markets, supply chains and agribusiness strategy. Emma is passionate about fostering strong relationships between machinery manufacturers, dealers, industry and producers. So please welcome Luke and Emma.
Hi, I'm Tim Reithus. I'm part of the Reithus family. This is Jeff, Luke, my brother. We've been farming in the Wimmera since 1947. Precision ag is about taking some of that subjectivity out of your business decisions. So we're using it to make scientific-based decisions with the real true data that we're getting out. And that's making our job easier. It's obviously reducing conflict because you can't argue with the data. And it's making, I think, our business more sustainable.
Well, I think we've been able to be more proactive in our business.
Yeah.
The tools allow us to see what's going on and help us make decisions for the next time and for the next day.
And it's so flexible for so many different types of farms like ours. The digital tools allow us to micromanage every hectare by being there for us. We can do analysis quite quickly, we can do it on the phone, we can do it on the tablet, we can do it at home on the computer. We can get those decisions and make them just as well as if you were there standing yourself on every hectare.
And we all know that the cost price squeeze just keeps squeezing our profitability all the time. And I really see there's no choice but to grab this precision technology so that we can actually hone in and put the inputs where we need to put them.
I think we've got to be smarter, and there's a duty of care as well. We shouldn't be over-applying nitrogen fertilisers. We shouldn't be over-applying crop protection products. We need to be showing that we're doing the best we can, and that's what we want to do for our land.
Well, it's our driver of our income,
Yeah.
so you've got to look after it. You know, farmers really want to be out in the field, and they don't want to be sitting in an office, they don't want to be mucking around with computers. That's not where their passion is, but now it's become so user-friendly. There's no excuse really not to be able to get into it.
I think what we've found is that the John Deere are listening. They listen to farmers and they come up with tools that are going to fix farmer problems.
Good afternoon. How good is that? Thank you to the Reithus family for sharing their insights on technology and precision agriculture. And I love the quote in that video from Jeff Reithus saying, "Precision ag has become so user-friendly, there's no excuse not to get into it." Good afternoon, my name is Luke Chandler. I'm Managing Director of John Deere in Australia and New Zealand.
And good afternoon, I'm Emma Ford, Director of Aftermarket and Customer Support. And this afternoon we're excited to share with you John Deere's vision for the future of farming. As Reithus has shared with us in that great video, technology is dramatically changing the way farmers are farming all around the world. And we believe technology is critical to enabling a more profitable and sustainable future for farmers.
And thank you to Rabobank for the opportunity to present and participate in today's Farm to Fork event. Having worked at Rabo for nearly a decade, it's great to be back seeing so many friendly and familiar faces. And I was also involved in the first F20 Summit back in 2014. So I know how much hard work goes into such an event. So thank you for the opportunity. And I think these are really important events to bring the industry together, to share knowledge, and to move the industry forward. So Emma and I really hope that you take some valuable insights out of our presentation today, which is going to be focused on the future of farming is now. Are you ready?
Thanks, Luke. That's right. Are you ready? Are you ready for this pace of change that is upon us? So to kick things off and to set the scene for what we're going to cover this afternoon, we thought we'd start with a quote that likely many of you are familiar with, and it was one made by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau around the rate of change we're seeing in the world. And we thought this really resonated for us and what we're going to cover this afternoon on the rate of transformation we're seeing in our industry. And so the quote is, the pace of change has never been this fast, yet it will never be this slow again. But for us, there was a second, lesser reported line that he made, which we thought was particularly interesting, being here together today. And that was, you are rightly anxious about how quickly our business models are being disrupted, but imagine how anxious those are that aren't in the room today. And that for us really sets a scene and the important opportunity being here with you all in this room And what we'd like to discuss with you this afternoon is what that disruption means for the future of farming.
That's right. Thanks, Emma. And I think very confident everyone in the room recognises the important role that farmers the world over play in feeding, clothing and fueling a growing world population. And I think agriculture historically has done this by using more land, more inputs, more horsepower. In the agricultural machinery sector for decades, the focus has been around bigger, faster, stronger, more efficient machines. But we know that needs to change. We know we need to facilitate an opportunity for farmers to do more with less. John Deere's 2030 strategy and focus is around our customers being more productive, profitable, and sustainable. And we put these customer-centric goals at the centre of everything that we do, making sure that we can enhance an opportunity to change the equation and improve the profitability of farmers around the world.
And we believe technology is critical to achieving this goal. Through the utilisation of machine sensors, machine learning, we're headed to a world, as the Rethus has explained, where agriculture is fast becoming more automated, more precise, and more sustainable. And we believe through this technology, this gives us a really powerful opportunity to reduce inputs for improved profitability, whilst enabling us to really stay ahead of the curve for Australian agriculture. So just to take us on a bit of a journey, we thought we'd take a look at how technology is supporting all of us to make decisions. And this transformation has happened over some time. So what we thought we'd do is just take a bit of a trip down memory lane and what this looks like for the future. So traditionally, documentation and decision making was made on a notepad, or a notebook, your trusty handwritten documentation. And that decisioning was normally supported by some kind of subjectivity decision making in the machinery shed, around the dining room table, or even the pub. If we look to today, benchmarking really forms a core part of how decisions are shared, and AI, apps and spreadsheets are really foundational in how we make decisions. If we look to the future, however, AI, or artificial intelligence, is really going to help transform more of the decision-making process to be more data-driven and made in real time. And this isn't to take the farmer out of the decision-making process, but rather to free them up to have more time to be more strategic and work across their business.
That's right, Emma. And if you think about that decision tree a different way, in the way that data and technology has allowed us to be more efficient and effective in our decisions on farm, if you go along the bottom side of the slide here, and in the past we might have managed at a farm level, and then we moved down and managed at a field level, and then with the introduction of GPS and variable rate technologies and some of these field mapping, we've been able to move into a section level control, and that's very much what's used today. With the artificial intelligence that Emma talked about, we believe we can create an environment where we can manage at a plant by plant level as the machine runs through the field and in real time. So this will be transformational in terms of the impact for farmers and for agriculture around the world, fundamentally changing the equation both for agronomic and environmental benefits, making decisions in real time in the field at plant level.
And this extends beyond machine learning. As you know, Luke, we've recently invested in a company developing plant intelligence, whose mission is to give every plant a voice. So we're in a space where we can imagine a future where the planter may be able to communicate with the sprayer to tell it exactly what it needs as it passes through the field. So not only are we moving to smarter machines, we're also moving to smarter plants. So, to help us explore some of these concepts a little more, we thought we'd introduce you to a little friend of ours, meet Wilma the wheat plant. So given the vast industry in the room, we thought that Wilma could be a nice way for us to focus on one little crop and the growing cycle that she'll go through in her life, and how technology can impact her growing cycle to help it to be the most sustainable, most productive production system possible.
And just before we do get into the production system for Wilma, I think worth sort of pausing to think about, while we're going to focus on wheat this afternoon and cropping, this is very similar for almost every sector in the agricultural industry, around how do we use data and technology to add economic and environmental benefits at every step in the production system along the way. I don't know, there we go. So if we think about planting, and the first step in the production system, aside from field preparation in wheat, is going to be getting that seed or Wilma the wheat plant in the ground. So modern day planters already have millions of lines of code running through them as the planter runs through the field, aimed at placing that seed in exactly the right depth and in the right position to optimise yield and productivity. Future technologies, we believe, will be able to place fertiliser right near the seed at the time of planting, eliminating the need for broad fertiliser applications, and whilst not impacting yield and still allowing us to plant the crop in the increasingly tight windows that we have. So trials that we're doing in a number of crops around the world are showing us that we can reduce fertiliser use by as much as 60%. So think about that from an Australian cropping perspective, where fertiliser represents around a quarter of the variable costs for croppers in Australia. Think about the impact that could have on the carbon footprint of cropping in Australia, and could return as much as $2.5 billion to Australian farmers' back pockets every year.
And as we think about Wilma's next journey, as she begins to emerge, it's important she's nourished so she can thrive. Advanced sprayers will move through the field, utilising automated computer technologies, camera sensing, and machine learning to apply chemical only on the weed. So that machine learning allows us to see and spray only the weeds, which can dramatically decrease the amount of chemical applied, not only in wheat, but in a whole host of crops. And as Luke said, this has a huge impact not only across wheat as a crop, but across a whole ecosystem. And our trials in wheat have shown this can lead to a reduction of 77% in herbicide savings, which is not only great for the farmer's back pocket, but also for our environment.
Yeah, so again, think about if we can create that across all crops and reduce herbicide or chemical use by around 77%, like we're doing in our trials. Again, chemicals represent around 15% of variable costs in broadacre farming in Australia, so significant economic benefits. But then if you extrapolate that over cropping across the entire world, if we can reduce chemical use by around 77%, think about the environmental impact that that can have for agriculture globally.
So once Wilma's all grown up and it's time for her to be harvested and leave home, technology is going to play a really important role in determining where she goes next.
Yeah, again, new technologies in harvest that we think we can put on the combine as it moves through the field will allow us to see benefits in Wilma the wheat crop earlier in that life. So attributes such as protein, moisture, starch, oils will be able to be detected and shared with the farmer earlier in the process, allowing them to make key marketing and operational decisions while the grain is still in the field. This can have also significant value across the supply chain. We heard about in the panel discussion just before lunch the value of sharing data across the supply chain. So if you think about a scenario where you've got a wheat farmer in Western Australia, they've got a supply chain agreement with a brewer in Japan, for example. So not only could the farmer be seeing these attributes as the combine runs through the field, but the brewer in Japan could also be looking at that same data and optimising their operation in real time. And then you extrapolate that to the benefits that we could see from traceability and sustainability in real time, and I know we'll probably hear some more about that in the next panel. There's fantastic value that we think we can deliver from some of these new technologies during the harvest.
And alternatively, Wilma might be a lower protein little wheat seed, and she might go on to have a future instead as an ingredient in a cake or a nice loaf of bread instead of some fancy Japanese beer. Regardless, by measuring Wilma's attributes, we can make really important decisions around application for the following year to prepare for Wilma 2.0. So information from grain quality maps overlaid with yield maps and other data can help us make really important decisions around field improvements and fertiliser application for the following year.
And if you switch from harvest now and we think about autonomy, and we know one of the really exciting and potentially transformational technologies coming to agriculture is autonomous vehicles. Just last year, you may have seen John Deere launched our first driverless tractors. So these aren't prototypes, these are commercially available driverless tractors that are out in the field in North America, on farm doing valuable tillage work at the moment. We know that the biggest challenge that when we talk to farmers around the world is labour. It doesn't matter whether you're in Mato Grosso, in Iowa, in Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, overcoming the labour challenge is significant, and particularly finding labour to operate sophisticated machinery. So we believe automation in machinery can really help us help farmers overcome this key challenge and feed the growing world.
And this autonomy starts with automation. And as we've spoken through, there are countless steps across the production system that we can automate to make things easier. So an analogy I think is really relevant for all of us in the room, maybe not for how we got to work today on a ferry, but for those of you who normally take the car, the auto industry has been preparing us every day for this for years, with automation of simple things like lane sensing, cruise control, and we moved to adaptive cruise control, and even automatic parking. All really important steps in automating key parts of the car to prepare us for a fully autonomous vehicle of the future. And we see exactly the same opportunity in ag. And so if we think about machines becoming more and more complex, there's more and more for that operator to keep an eye on. Things happen fast. By moving to more automated decisioning on the machine and allowing to make the machine make some of those decisions automatically, such keeping an eye on planter downforce, measuring grain loss, or even just seeing and spraying only the weeds, this can allow the operator to be freed up to work more proactively across his or her operations, such as monitoring and optimizing the equipment and looking at data to make important decisions. And that piece Luke was talking around about labour, we think this automation has a really powerful part to play here as well. We think that by the automation of key decisions on a machine, this can help to train a really new operator into a seasoned operator in no time, with enhanced safety and less training.
Absolutely, Emma. And I think, so why is this important? It's essentially allowing farmers to automate decisions, to streamline processes, to do it in a labour-constrained environment, and achieve that goal of doing more with less. So we've talked about a lot of technology in the last 15 or 20 minutes. And, we've talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, autonomous vehicles, sensors. And I think it's worth highlighting that this isn't science fiction. Almost everything that Emma and I have shared with you this afternoon is going to be commercially available in Australia in the next 3 to 5 years. So think about that. All of this technology coming before 2030. How's that going to transform your business? And so we wanted to finish where we started with the question or challenge around the future of farming is now. Are you ready?
And to kind of sum us up today and take you through some of the key topics we've covered, we wanted to leave you with three key questions that we would see as really critical to consider, regardless of where you are on your technology journey. So we're going to cover utilisation, data, and connectivity. So I'll start with utilisation. We see a really high rate of adoption of ag technology. Everyone's buying it in base and there's a high uptake. What we really see an opportunity with, though, to be honest, is around utilisation, using all that you've paid for, using the full capability of all that tech on your equipment. So all of us have that person at work, on our farm, in our business, that's that go-to guru, the SME, the know-it-like the back of their hand person that you just always go to for insight.
Like me, Emma.
Like you, Luke.
Yeah.
A humble Luke, a humble guru. Start by challenging that person to understand how much time are they spending training and developing other folk in your team. Are they spreading knowledge? Are they housing it? Have you only got one go-to guru? Because you need to disseminate and spread that knowledge.
So utilisation, the second thing that people can be doing now is thinking about data. How are you using data to generate insights and make better decisions in your farming operation or your business? And I think there's a lot that can be done now. We all know there's more and more data coming at us, but how are we leveraging it to improve our effectiveness and our profitability? And I think there's a lot that can be done around sharing data with trusted advisors, agronomists, for example. We know that this technology that's coming down the pipe at us is all going to rely on that data utilisation. So I think there's a lot that we can doing now to prepare for that coming in the future.
And core to the transfer of that data is a foundation of connectivity and cloud-based computing to enable you to transfer data real-time from the field to the cloud and back again. So we'd really ask you to consider, do you have everything connected on farm? Does everything talk to one another? And this really helps to enable this concept of anywhere management, being able to manage a farm from wherever you are in the world. So just to wrap up, some final thoughts on our little friend Wilma. In many respects, when we think about all the technology she's grown up with today, she's in many respects no different to our children. Grown up in an information age as digital natives, technology's touching every single part of their life. A little different to how you and I were grown up, Luke.
Absolutely. I still remember digital transformation was going from Snake on my Nokia to my first BlackBerry at Rabobank.
Jokes aside, technology is shaping all of our lives, and the opportunity is now to ensure it's part of the future of your farm. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you here today. Look forward to catching up after this.
And thank you from my side. And just one call out in closing. Emma talked about gurus or SMEs, and she wasn't talking about me, but good news is we do have some gurus with us. We've got some of our digital and precision ag experts at our booth out the back there. They're here to answer any questions that you might have, so please go and engage with them. You might grab a new hat, as I saw Jono Phelps has already got one, but please go and engage with them, and we hope you found our presentation insightful and thought-provoking. Thank you again.
Thanks very much.